happening down here in the city of Port Harcourt, and I hope that you are doing well wherever you're watching us from in Africa and of course in Nigeria. Now, what are we doing here on Blowout is very simple. Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network where we feature news, conversation, and special interest topic, event stories through correspondent reports, expert opinion, and all have you. And now these issues the issues we're discussing this morning are very simple but an interesting set of subjects. Killings. We are looking at Lai Mohammed insists that no Christian Muslim is persecuted in Nigeria. And on insecurity, gunmen abduct 2 Catholic priests in Edo. Remember that Lai Mohammed just said there's no insecurity in Nigeria. And we have Kaduna train attack. Shehu Sani to join street protests for release of victims. And then Ukraine, federal government facilitates student admission into Nigerian universities, polytechnics. And 2023 election, Kwankwaso says Northerners won't vote Peter Obi. And on 2023 presidency, El Rufai is Asiwaju's best choice for vice president. This is according to a group. We want to know the group when we come back from this. But we're not doing this alone. We have Eric Omari. He's a lawyer and a minority rights activist joining us from Asaba in Nigeria. And we have Uche Emmanuel Woke. He's an educationist, a content developer, writer, and of course public affairs analyst. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're also going to have Salaudeen Hashim. He is a defense and security expert joining us from Abuja. Like I said, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll go straight into the issues we have for you this morning. Don't go away.
Meet the people making the difference in our time on ATN Icons. Here, we present you legends celebrated for their heroism in different fields and serve as role models today. ATN Icons, showing every Sunday 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes DTH channel 194, ATN Live on Google App Store, Facebook Atlantic Television Network, YouTube Atlantic Television Network, Instagram Atlantic TV Network, Twitter Atlantic TV Net. For sponsorship 0810-634-1777. ATN Icons, celebrating the giants of our time.
The people, the candidates, the party, the campaigns. What really makes an election year? Enough of the rhetorics. It's time for issue-based politics. 2023 elections. Who are the candidates? What do you know about them? Take a seat, relax, and join us for the 2023 elections on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes, DTH, channel 194, or ATN Live on Google Play Store and all our social media platforms. Twitter is at Atlantic TV Net. Facebook and YouTube is at Atlantic Television Network. On Instagram is at Atlantic TV Network. Elections 2023 from Mondays to Fridays at 8 p.m. Election 2023. We the people have a stake.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, social economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
people into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human
on the point of order.
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
you back on ATN Blowout this beautiful morning. It's Tuesday, and I hope your day is going to be as sweet as the day should be for you. But let's go to the issues. So before then, let me get you to meet my co-host, Adejumo Adekunle. Welcome to ATN Blowout. Good morning to you. And of course, what's the latest in Nigerian news today?
Well, as I told you last night before we took that brief break, because we didn't go to sleep, I said before the morning would become on us, we would have had several issues. And one of the pertinent issues in the news is about the students sitting at home, that is ASU, which by count, it has become 140 days since ASU had embarked on that strike.
140 days, that's February, March, April, May, June, July. That's approximately 5 months, if the counting is right. So one semester, and almost the second semester is going out. So
almost a session. Almost
a section. It still have lost almost a section. And the federal government still doesn't seem to have a way out of the quagmire. ASU is saying no. We remember Barrister Maracho Holly on the show saying, if ASU is not going to, if the federal government is not going to do what they are supposed to, further with calling off the strike. Now, let's even assume that becomes the case. You agree with me that with 2020-19 down, and of course, if that happens, it means that 2 years of the life of the average young person who is in a federal university has been taken from them. What exactly does this mean for such young people today?
Now, this is one of those reasons why we've now seen young people who are in the university, and even the elderly, because some parents are running their PhD and master home. It's about time when they go get something to learn. In fact, they are already adapted to the system, that the government doesn't have them at heart. Now, you would see also that we have a trail of different institutions who directly or indirectly benefit from school being in session, begging. One of those institutions is the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. Emmanuel Oserike a couple of days back came out to say, oh, ASU should please call off the strike and resume. For crying out loud, JAM will not be the one to settle the bills. There was a time we had one journalist calling for funds, say he would raise, was it about 40 million naira then in less than 48 hours for ASU and settle the rest of that. That did not make a headway at the end of the day. So we kept seeing the negotiation between the Minister of Education and ASU going back and forth, and it's just like they are tossing the children around. So it's something that the federal government needs to look into, checkmate the processes. What are the issues? IPs versus UTAS. Which payment platform suits better? Some persons are, in fact, it has divided the union, and you can see that some state governments are making giant moves. Like in River State, the River State University is not...
We will just need to take over universities, make it bigger, set up more state universities, or maybe widen the scope of what they have so that they can accommodate more people. Since that could just be a way out, because from ASU's point of view, the IPPIS and of course the UTAS, the IPPIS is yet to be tested, as he has to pass the
litmus test.
Yeah, the litmus test. The UTAS has passed this test. The federal government is aware of this. There are a lot of rigors. The last time we talked about IPPS on the show in Atlantic Television Network, I remember that it was said that, oh, they've recovered at this amount of money. Yet there were issues with IPPI. Who tested IPPI? UTAS is a Nigerian product that's passed through all the required tests by the Federal Ministry of Technology. And now we're still here having this conversation. The question is it that the federal government doesn't have the money, or they don't care about the Nigerian youth whose future is being, messed with as we speak? But let's get to your take on the issue of ASU and the drama unfolding. Is about 140 days. That's approximately a section being taken away from the Nigerian students. Over now to you, Godwin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. We can hear you. Go ahead, please.
All right. Good morning, Adekunle, and also our guest in the studio seated this morning. Well, from our end here in Lagos, it's been an interesting morning for us here in Lagos. It rained all night in Lagos, and the traffic this morning in Lagos is second to none. It's the world best traffic right now we're having here in Lagos. All roads are shut down in Lagos this morning as early as 5 a.m. The traffic experience have started here in Lagos. And also, some of the issues that are burning right now in Lagos is the issue of Lagos State shutting down most schools that have been found negligent about how they take care of children. Example is a child that just died some days back, and it's really causing serious controversies here in Lagos. These are burning issues here in Lagos. We have a lot of things here right here in Lagos happening. Even this morning in Lagos, a lot of things are going to be played out and unfolding in the course of today. But then we get to we don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet. We're keeping it cool and we're keeping it slow. So because we anchor on fact only, so I don't want to be speculative about the incidents that will be unfolding today in Lagos, but we will sure bring you up to speed on whatever comes up this morning in Lagos. So from us here in Lagos, that's the present, what we are currently experiencing here in Lagos this morning.
All right, thank you very much, Godwin. That's Lagos. We hope that wherever you are, whether it's rain, it started raining real heavy this morning in Port Harcourt. I was wondering, how could this rain expect someone to leave the house? But here we are. Because it's Blowouts and it's Atlantic Television Network, we will make sure that you get the facts like Godwin just put across to you. But again, from ASU to Lagos traffic to every other issue, to federal government insisting that there is no religious killing in Nigeria, where we just have two priests, just less than 24 hours after Lai Mohammed responded to the U.S. senators, two priests were
kidnapped,
abducted, and you know, here we go again with Lai Mohammed, or the government of Nigeria not being interested in keep going in rigors, and at the end of the day, the biomass waste arrangement is making in Anambra says, I think maybe even if it just helps to provide power supply for few persons, I think that's also one thing that the federal government or state government can begin to look at. Maybe it's time that we begin to look at this government at the center. Is it really working for us? And if it's not working for us, maybe we need to renegotiate and ask ourselves, if the governors are doing well, this government at the center, where the center controls everything, maybe we need to begin to look at our federal government. But again, we're still in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll go into our first story and, of course, get you to meet our resource person for today.
The people, the candidates, the party, the campaigns. What really makes an election year? Enough of the rhetorics. It's time for issue-based politics. 2023 elections. Who are the candidates? What do you know about them? Take a seat, relax, and join us for the 2023 elections on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes, DTH, Channel 194, or ATN Live on Google Play Store and all our social media platforms. Twitter is at Atlantic TV Net. Facebook and YouTube is at Atlantic Television Network. On Instagram is at Atlantic TV Network. Elections 2023 from Mondays to Fridays at 8 p.m. Election 2023. We the people have a stake.
Good to have you back on ATN Blowout this morning. We'll go straight to our first story, and that's on Lai Mohammed insisting no Christian Muslim is being persecuted in Nigeria. Now, the federal government of Nigeria has condemned the call by 5 U.S. Republican senators asking for the listing of Nigeria as a country of peculiar concerns because of the alleged persecution of Christians. The senators made the call in a letter to the U.S. Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. They also allege a violation of freedom of Christians' rights to practice their religion. Responding to the allegation in an interview with the news agency of Nigeria in London, the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, said the call was based on false premise and misunderstanding of what was going on in the country. Now, Uche, let me get to welcome our guest. Good morning, Uche Nwoke. Good to have you on ATN Blowout. I'm coming straight to you now. A few days ago, 5 Republican senators sent a letter to the U.S. government saying, U.S. Senate saying, there's been too many attacks on Christians in Nigeria. A few years ago, they tried to ensure that Nigeria is included in the countries of particular concern. However, the U.S. government refused to do that. So they are coming back to say it's about time you do that so that the world can actually pay attention, the right kind of attention on what is going on in Nigeria. They mentioned the Owo massacre, they mentioned the killing of Deborah Samuel, and of course, we live in Nigeria, going back to years down the line, how his sister was nearly murdered while she was coming back from school, someone who grew up in the north, and there are several of such stories around. There is a particular pastor in Rivers State who have a personal experience and have been going, I've seen videos that can't really be readily be released to the public as the slaughter of Christians and worship centers. This is not a new story, but at the rate at which they are going right now, especially with the very audacious war attack that happened just a few weeks ago, they are coming out to say, include Nigeria in amongst the countries with a particular, concern. Lai Mohammed, again, as usual, the federal government is on the defensive, not addressing the issues raised, not saying this is how we are going to manage this issue, but bam, there is nothing like that. What's your take?
Okay, on the matter, there are so many angles that should poke the mind of every objective thinker. When such claims are made, you don't just go take your time to analyze it objectively to try, you could understand, because we're talking about international relations, the image of the nation. It matters a lot, and then you're also concerned about whether the persons who are making these calls, are actually doing it on a genuine platform, even in all parts of the world. So when you now begin to stereotype, I don't know if Nigeria has the impetus, or Nigerian lawmakers have the impetus to now begin to give a kind of toga on the U.S. When shootings, when random. I don't know whether they have that legitimate ground to now begin to call for Nigeria to be given a kind of tag based on the issues happening here. That's one angle. Then there is also whether the issue is systemic or based on individual orchestration, because people have tendencies, criminal tendencies and the rest of it, and no matter how you try to beef up your security, no matter the things you try to put on ground, people who are criminal minded must find a way to pursue and realize their criminal intentions. Now when such happens, how do we now treat them? Do we treat them on the basis of the individual, or begin to, generalize it and say, okay, this is what is happening, this is what the country is known for? Now, the issue of killing of Christians, we also know that I don't want to sound like I'm totally supporting Lai Mohammed. He's doing his job to try to keep the image of the country. Of course, we know that in the past few days, weeks or months, there have been incidents involving priests, religious leaders and the rest of it, but whether they are enough to say that there is persecution going on in Nigeria is something that we really need to look at critically. Now, the issue of persecution, if you go back in time, you know that persecution has been something, persecution has been something that, persecution has been something that has historical trace. Yeah, you know, we talk about the Dark Ages. So, if Lai Mohammed is, and there are things that comments he made where he said that we do not have laws. We do not have laws that support persecution. We do not have laws that are detrimental to Christians. You know, we do not have such institutions that do not allow Christians to exercise their religion, their freedom of religion. We don't have any such laws or institutions or structures. So from that angle, you can see that he's looking at it from a systemic perspective. Because if you see that there's persecution going on in Nigeria, it might be that you're seeing that there's a government-supported persecution going on in Nigeria, which happened back in the days. You know, I just mentioned the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages, it has to do with when Christians were suffering, and that wasn't even happening. It wasn't in the hands of the Muslim. It was still Christian, or pagans Christian. You know, when a particular sect in the Christian world were being persecuted for insisting to worship in certain way, you know, and those ways of worship were not accepted by the Roman power, by the paper, you know, and then those people were persecuted. Those people who maintained that this is how we want to worship were seriously persecuted. A lot of them were killed. In fact, there are incidents where individuals were tied to two different horses, and then an order is issued, the horses will run away, and the person cuts into two. There are situations where people were thrown into well, you know, in their numbers and buried alive. There are the situations where people were burnt alive too. So that's persecution on a large scale, you know. So I think Lai Mohammed is trying to make a difference, trying to say that what's happening in Nigeria should be traced basically on the area of criminality, individuals trying to perpetrate their...
Okay, but let me quickly come in here, Uche, because when we say what happened is criminality and all that, we live in Nigeria. We woke up to our attack. And then the issue of our attack is something that everybody saw. Of course, Lai Mohammed is the Minister of Information and Culture, so he's in a position to defend himself. But we are asking, this government is always in the habit of putting up a defense, even when it is clear that something is happening. You talked about the Dark Ages. Yes, that was the Dark Ages. Does the U.S. senators have a right to interfere with a sovereign nation like Nigeria? Maybe yes, maybe not. Maybe they have their grounds, maybe on the grounds of human rights or religious freedom, as the case may be. However, let's bring this down to the reality we all face. When issues like this happen, wouldn't it be fair for us to see the government actually taking decisive steps? Responded, yes, this is not peculiar to Nigeria. Christians are killed in other Asian countries and what have you. However, this is where we are going to. This is what we are doing, and we are working on ensuring that. Wouldn't that be a better outlook than just saying there's nothing like that? Yes. But this is in the news.
Yes, we are saying the same thing. If the U.S. senators, if they concentrated on calling out Nigerians and asking, please do something about this, and if you lack the capacity to do it, if there are helps that you need, we are going to offer the help. If the argument was in that dimension, in that direction, then you wouldn't have someone like Lai Mohammed, putting out a defense.
Is it when they have positioned themselves to say, actually there is a problem, we are working on this? How would, if they are not listed as a country with peculiar concern, how would any nation, anyone want to come in to help?
Now, speaking from international relations perspective, right now, Nigerians have been given Nigeria is now facing, in this particular matter, Nigeria is now facing double jeopardy. You understand? Nigeria will have to tackle the issue of security, which is a reality that you just mentioned. It's a reality. It's something that we need to work on. We need to deal with it. We need to beef up our security. We need to, extend our security arsenals. But then we still this, giving this kind of toga. You see, international.
Okay, Uche, well, just while you're on that, we'll take a short break and we'll come back. I know like Lagos, Gordon is itching in from our Lagos studio, but bear at the back of your mind that we have been listed as the second most dangerous nation for Christians in the world today. That is not U.S. Senator. This is according to statistics on what has been going on. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Role models today. ATN icons showing every Sunday 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes DTH channel 194, ATN Live on Google App Store, Facebook Atlantic Television Network, YouTube Atlantic Television Network, Instagram Atlantic TV Network, Twitter Atlantic TV Net. For sponsorship 0810-634-1777. ATN icons celebrating the giants of our time.
The people, the candidates, the party, the campaigns. What really makes an election here? Enough of the rhetorics. It's time for issue-based politics. 2023 elections. Who are the candidates? What do you know about them? Take a seat, relax, and join us for the 2023 elections on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes, DTH, channel 194, or ATN Live on Google Play Store and all our social media platforms. Twitter is at Atlantic TV Net. Facebook and YouTube is at Atlantic Television Network. On Instagram is at Atlantic TV Network. Elections 2023 from Mondays to Fridays at 8 p.m. Election 2023. We the people have a stake.
All right, thank you for still joining us. It's still ATN Blowout this beautiful Tuesday morning. And, of course, we'll have Godwin from our Lagos studio and Vincent from Abuja studio. But coming back to our guests and, of course, to you, Adekunle.
Once again, Vivian, the topics we are discussing this morning are some very peculiar topics. Now, we've seen Lai Mohammed over time being on the defensive, like you said. That's not how to handle issues that concern international diplomacy. There are ways that you say it, that you assuage the feelings of the people. You make the people realize that, okay, these things are in existence, but however, there are mechanisms the government is following. Uche Woke rightly mentioned the issue of killings in the United States and some other part of the world. Now, remember of recent when we had the Uvada shooting. Was the culprit apprehended? Yes. How many issues in Nigeria have been swept under the carpet concerning religious killing? Who is being held responsible? Let us not forget that some top government officials, during when the civil defense quarters or the training centers were attacked, they said they were going to publish the name of some persons. Did we see the light of that names? No. So these are some of the issues that foreign and countries that are considered more sane, look at and say, okay, can we just act in this direction? But these are the issues.
All right, let's go over now to you, Lagos, and our Lagos studio, Godwin.
All right. Vivian, actually, you're correct when you said I'm itching to join this conversation around religious killings and what have been happening here in Nigeria. And I don't want to join this particular conversation from the angle that we're taking it from. I want to join it also from using the onions layer analysis to conflict resolutions right now. So I want to put these questions to Mr. Uche, already seated in the studio. Mr. Uche, I want to find out from you. Generally, from time immemorial, the issues around conflict and the killings of Christians has become an issue that everybody wants to talk about. But then we're not getting to the root of the matter. So at this point in time, will you say that based on the international relations that we are just trying to talk around and speak around, will you say that at this point, the portrayal of Lai Mohammed right now on this conversation, is it putting us on the right spot in international communities based on the international relations policy that we are trying to see right now?
Relations is a very large area. Who is the judge? We all are judges. That is the way international relations work. You know, all of us have a say. All the countries that are legitimately members of the United Nations have a say and have things to say about how things are done in various parts of the world. So there is no particular person who has the ultimate power to pass a judgment on any particular country. We have our issues, we have and these issues are these issues are peculiar to various countries based on various factors. You can call it cultural, you can call it political, you know, social. You know, there are issues and they're peculiar to every country. So no nation actually has the ultimate power to actually to put a judgment on any particular country. But what we can do, you know, as a united body, as members of a particular organization, what we can do is to always look at the issues, bedeviling each country, offer solutions, offer advice, and then deal with them. But not for any particular country to pass a judgment to say, or to give a kind of toga on any country. But, you know, Lai Mohammed is putting us, okay?
All right, okay, thank you very much then for that wonderful analysis. Now let's move on to the next item today. We're looking at insecurity and how gunmen had abducted 2 priests in Edo State. Now, 2 Catholic priests have been kidnapped in Edo State. Commenting on the situation, police authorities in the state said they have confirmed the incident which occurred on Saturday night around Eho, Iruekmi communities along Benin-Auchi Expressway. In a statement, the state police public relations officer, SP Chidi Mwabuzo, identified those abducted as Reverend Udo Peter, Reverend Philemon Obo. The police also in a statement read, this is to confirm the kidnap incident of 2 Catholic Reverend Fathers, Reverend Father Udo Peters of St. Patrick Catholic Church, Uromi, and Reverend Father Philemon Obo of St. Joseph Retreat Center, Oboa in Esan Southeast Local Government Area of Edo State. Now, responding to the situation, the Commissioner of Police in Edo State, CP Abotu Yaro, dispatched police operatives to the area and warned them to carry out an aggressive and well-coordinated manhunt in arresting the kidnappers and for the rescuing of Reverend Fathers unhurt. The CP, however, pleads with the general public to cooperate with the police in giving information that will enable them function effectively. Vivian.
No, for me, we just finished talking about Lai Mohammed saying, we are good. There's nothing peculiar about ours. Adejimo was saying, mentioned about the Invida incident and, of course, the regular sporadic shootings in the U.S., which has not led to the issue of a gun ownership at the age of 21, from 18 now to 21. Now, let's bring this back to, again, Nigeria and the issue of insecurity. Uche, do you still think that the best way for the government to go about it is to protect our image? And what image, if you think so, what image are we protecting? Are we protecting an image that is out there? When a war massacre happened, the federal government came out to this ISWAP. ISWAP didn't say anything. Akaredolu said, no, this is not how ISWAP was. If it's ISWAP would have said, no, they will have leave their markings on it. You will know that they did this. They don't do things and shy away from it. Now, why am I talking about Keredolu now? Why he was giving an interview to an international media, foreign media, he said the same thing. He made the whole thing clear. When they knew this is a global world right now, something happens in ATN studio, and it's something that the world needs to. Someone already takes a shot at it and is going viral, as the case may be. So,
what exactly are we trying? What image are we protecting? Is it the image that is out there for the world to see? Why he's talking about that 2 priests has been kidnapped in Edo State. So what does that leave us as it is?
Well, it's not a matter of what is best. It's a matter of looking at things the way they should be. There are roles. The federal government is saddled with so many responsibilities. One is to protect the lives and properties of the people. The other is to ensure that in the international world that we have a reputation. We have that, you know, the international relations comes with a lot of things. There is an economic aspect to it. There is a political aspect to it. And if we allow some people to determine what we are, you know, if we allow people to determine what we are, to define us, it has a lot of damage to do to, you know, a lot of issues, a lot of things.
So to you, the best way is for us to shy away from it.
No. That's why I said it's not about what is best. It's not the best way. We can't shy away from the reality. The reality is there. I just mentioned that there are 2 responsibilities. One is to protect the lives and property of the people. It is paramount. The other is to also ensure that we have a good reputation out there. So the issue of securing lives and property is very paramount, and it's a responsibility that every government from the federal down to the LGA must take seriously.
Now, this morning in the news it was recorded that Akeredolu is also supporting Matawale on the issue of those who are eligible to own guns to go after it. Now, you can see that because insecurity is spiraling, different governors are beginning to call in different measures. Let us now take it down to Edo State. Edo State is very peculiar for one reason. I was there last year, and, you know, most persons in Edo State, frankly speaking, they had access to guns. In some areas, before you sleep, they always drop gunshots. Now, Mr. Woke, what would you say about the government instituting or pushing for state police, because this had been one issue that we've been clamoring for, state and community policing, so that they can identify these persons who are perpetrating this act easily? Because it seems now that kidnapping has almost become a general business.
Well, there is fear. Whenever state police is mentioned, there's a fear. The fear is politicians at the state level privatizing security, using security for other ulterior motives. It's quite scary, because we don't know if we have come to the stage where we can trust leaders to actually do what is required, you know, when it comes to handling security. So, but that does not rule out the fact that state police is quite important.
Okay, so that does not rule out the fact that state policing is quite important, but we are afraid of the undertones that come with it.
All right, Lagos, over to you.
All right. So, Vivian, thank you so much for bringing this conversation down to Lagos. I know the issue of insecurity is a general issue right now, but speaking about the adoption of the priests in Edo State, I'm looking at it from another perspective of these issues. Does it not only infringe on the fundamental human rights of Nigerians? I'm trying to tie this up with what Lai Mohammed said, and going by the sections of the chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution and looking at it critically and coming up with what Lai Mohammed is saying, don't you think in a way that the government have completely failed Nigerians, and Nigerians should also at this point begin to look for alternative ways to survive?
Well, I used to have this argument. I had this argument recently whether Nigeria is a failed state or not, and then I started looking at the issues. What are the criteria? What are the things that you find before you can categorize a nation as, being a failed state? And it was difficult for me to actually ascertain that. Well, Nigeria is a very large country, and our security situation, there are so many factors that reinforce our security situation, the bad security situation in Nigeria today. There are so many factors. For instance, Nigeria is a very large, we have our borders, is a very large, the area, the territory is very large, and then our borders are still very porous. So it's difficult to actually, take a holistic, look at the issues surrounding our borders. That's one. Then we also have the issue of a multicultural state. We have the issue of population, which is on the rise in Nigeria. So, all this leaves the government with major responsibilities. And of course, every government will tell you that they are doing their best. The government which is about to go out will tell you that they've done their best. So, but whether to say they have failed Nigerians, it's something that one needs to be very, very careful to conclude, because we can see that they are doing what they can. I think about some years ago, just when the government took over, after a while, the Army Chief of Staff relocated to Bono, and measures have been taken. So.
Interesting. Yeah. Thank you very much. Now let's head over to our Abuja studios, where Vincent is waiting behind to put his own contribution on this matter. Vincent, good morning.
Good morning, Adekunle. Good morning, Vivian. And good morning to our guest, Uche.
So how are you this morning?
Great.
Okay.
Abuja is great. Just as you rightly said, Vivian was saying the rain was, had rain in Port Harcourt. Also, Godwin also said there was rain in Lagos. Abuja is not an exception. There's also rain here. But looking at the issue of killing of priests, of course, you would agree that the insecurity in Nigeria, everybody is affected. People are being killed irrespective of religion. But of course, when you want to now take statistics of targeted religion centers, you will realize that, or targeted religious individuals, you realize that more pastors are being killed, more priests, pastors, reverends are being killed and kidnapped than, of course, when you look at the other faiths. That is what many would say. And when you look at the attack of these individuals to facilities or institutions meant for particular religion, you take, for instance, the Baptist case in Kaduna. You take, for instance, the Chibok attack, the Dapchi attack, whereby the government actually made effort to release the student, but of course left one particular individual who was a Christian. And of course, up until date, the government is yet to recover that individual. So the issue is, how do you describe such situation whereby a government is failing to attend to this issue, Mr. Uche?
Like I said before, the government is doing their best to ensure that the security situation is tackled. Now, of course, it looks like there's a targeted killing, because of the frequent attacks on religious leaders, mostly Christians. It looks like there's a targeted killing, but we are in a country where a lot of things happen, and a lot of people have the reasons why they do the things they do. We have the IPOB in the east, we have the bandits in the north, and sometimes there is this kind of arrangement where people try to do things to stir a particular kind of crisis, to ensure that they achieve their target. So when people when a particular set of people are targeting religious leaders, now you begin to look at, that's where the government has a job to do. The government has to go into work, try to make investigations, find out what the motive is. Because sometimes people do these things to stir up a larger crisis. Now, recently there was this killing of a Christian in the north, a girl who, said something that didn't go down well with the Muslims, and she was stoned to death. That's enough to stir up religious crisis in Nigeria. What we're trying to avoid is a situation where we have this coloration of religious conflict between the Christians and the Muslims. And maybe there are people who are determined to make sure that this thing happens. Maybe for the reasons of, a lot of people are very concerned about making sure that Nigeria is structured or maybe divided. So if you stir up religious crisis in Nigeria, that's enough to disintegrate this country. So maybe that's the reason.
Next story for this morning, and that's on a Kaduna train attack. Shehu Sani to join street protests for release of victims following the inability of the federal government to rescue the victims after 95 days in captivity. Relatives of the victims threatened to take over government facilities within the state to demand release of the abductees. And in solidarity, human rights activist and former governorship aspirant in Kaduna State, Shehu Sani says he is interested to join the planned protest being organized for Kaduna-Abuja train attack victims who are currently in captivity. The victims were kidnapped about 3 months ago when the bloodthirsty men attacked the train and killed several passengers. Speaking to families of the victims, Sani, a former federal lawmaker who spoke during a private meeting with the family members in Kaduna, lamented the deteriorating security crisis in the country today. There's no gainsaying in the fact that there are two major concerns issues we have in Nigeria. That's the economic issue and the security issue. There is no doubt about that. This is another case where we would expect the federal government to stand up to say this is where we're going to, this is what we want to do. However, that is not the case. So that being not the case, from all the feelers we've gotten in the news and what have you, what would you think if you're in position to advise, to speak to the federal government on these issues? What would you say to them? Lai Mohammed came out some time ago to say, oh, we're expecting the people to give us information about these criminal elements in our... But does the people even have confidence in the government enough, trust them enough to be a whistleblower for any of these issues?
Okay. Well, I want to say that this government that is about going out came with so much promises with regards to tackling the issue of security. And from that aspect, when people say that the government has failed, you can understand why they say so, because there was so much, promises about tackling security. As a matter of fact, the president of the country, made a lot of emphasis on security and the economy, and then corruption. These are the three key aspects that he emphasized on. So whether this, now from what we can see, the government hasn't done so much in security. Now my argument all the while is I've been trying to look at things from the area of functionality, from functions, their responsibility. Lai Mohammed being the Minister of Information, sorry I'm going back there, he has a responsibility, and he's doing that based on what the responsibility demands, But that doesn't mean that we don't have these issues. The issues are there, and they are really, really, getting tougher by the day. Now, the government, I don't think they have done enough in tackling security. And, that brings us to the issue of if I'm in a position to advise. There's really nothing that the government can do, that government would do now that it hasn't done before. The present government. There's really nothing they can do right now that they haven't done before.
So clearly we shouldn't expect much.
What will happen at most is that they will keep doing the same thing, trying to manage the situation the much they can, putting out defenses until they move. Because they do not have security issue is a very extensive issue that needs some systematic approach. So they really need to, it has to be, even from our constitution, from the structure of the government and the nation, everything has to come to play when it comes to tackling the security situation.
So, Mr. Uche, invariably what you're saying right now is the protest which former Senator Shehu Sani had said he would embark upon with the families of the victims. You're saying in essence that even though they had gone on this protest, because we saw what happened with the Chibok girls issue, and to date, Leah Sharibu is still with his captors. Some couple of days back, 2 other ladies were released, and this time they came around with children. So you're saying in essence that there is a possibility that this might be an exercise in futility.
It's not a possibility. It's an assured thing. That's going to be the situation. But a protest hardly bring any result in Nigeria. If the government is determined to do something, they will do it. It's not about protest. And the man who has said he wants to be part of the protest has been part of government. You know, we also look at whether when he was in the Senate, if he made contribution that helped our security situation. Most of these security situation that has spiraled and right now moving, you know, like a wave throughout the country, started from the north.
All right, we'll come over to you now, Godwin.
Morning, sir.
Hello, Godwin.
All right, Vivian, so just a quick one. I'm looking at it also from this perspective of what we call it. We say that Shehu Sani right now, this victim of train attack is not recent. It's not a recent attack as we've seen it from all quarters. But Shehu Sani right now coming out to say he wants to join the protest. I'm thinking, Uche, do you share my optimism that this is centered around political line and is recent political defeat? So